Our earth is unique among all heavenly bodies, as life is known to exist only on this planet. The earth possesses a congenial environment that supports all forms of life, including human beings. The environment provides the basic life support system. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, and the land where we live. It provides us wood, fuel, energy, and minerals. Most of our activities affect the environment in one way or the other. Many regions of the environment have already been badly damaged by overuse or irrational use of resources like forests, water, soil, etc. In 1982, the intervention of human being and its damaging effect on the environment was clearly expressed by Capra in the following statement. In our civilization, we have modified our environment to such an extent during this cultural evolution that we have lost touch with our biological and ecological base more than any other culture in the past. Capra, 1982.
If we continue this damage to the environment, no doubt the consequences will be very serious and irreparable. Therefore, to save the environment, we are required to develop environmental sensitivity through public awareness campaigns. Public awareness campaign is a term relating to the attitudes, behaviors, opinions and activities that comprise of the relationship between general public or society as a whole with environmental knowledge and practices.
According to Capra, ecological awareness will arise only when we combine our rational knowledge with an intuition for the non-linear nature of our environment. Such intuitive wisdom is characteristic of traditional non-literate cultures in which life was organized around a highly refined awareness of the environment. Capra, 1982. The former Chief Justice of India, Justice P.N. Bhagwati, says, public awareness is essential to protect environment in times of rapid industrialization, compromising on the environmental aspects. Concerned environmentalists and even common persons can take advantage of public interest litigation.
Protection of environment is not only the concern of the government but of every individual. There is a relationship of mutual cooperation of what the government and enterprise have done for environmental protection and the degree of self-discipline on the part of individuals in making their own contributions. No doubt, a good job by both the government and the enterprise will help to raise the environmental awareness of individuals. Contributions from more number of individuals will certainly have an accumulative impact on the environment in the long-term point of view. Publicity and education can be helpful in raising this awareness among the public, but action taken by government will always be more fruitful. However, most people are not satisfied with their local governments and what they have done for environmental protection.
In this connection, S.K. Nanda says, it is necessary and essential to sensitize everyone to make clean, green and a safe environment. At present, the biggest debate raging is between the forces of development and anti-development. Environmentalists can play a greater role in bringing equilibrium between the forces. We have several tools of public awareness such as the electronic media, the press, school and college education, and adult education, to name a few. These tools are complementary to each other. Green movements are the result of local small initiatives, but they play a major role in advocating environmental protection to the government. One more potent tool for environmental protection is advertising campaigns, which provide frequent messages that are conducive to environmental preservation. The media can be effectively useful to project pro-environmental issues. Environmental calendar as tool of public awareness. There are several days which are of special significance for creating public awareness to protect the environment. These days should be celebrated to create environmental awareness. 2nd of February is celebrated to create awareness about wastelands and their value to mankind.
The history of this particular day, that is 2nd February, is that on 2nd February 1971, the Ramsar Convention on Wastelands of international importance was signed at Ramsar in Iran. We can also take an initiative to have a campaign for the judicious and proper use of wastelands in the vicinity of cities and villages nearby us by celebrating the 2nd of February every year.
21st March is celebrated as World Forestry Day with an objective to create public awareness to protect forests and to check the rapid depletion of forest resources. The celebration of the World Forestry Day should be action-oriented, that is, activities such as tree plantations should be organized and planned on an ongoing basis. 7th April is designated as World Health Day by World Health Organization (WHO).
It originated in 1948 to have a campaign for personal hygiene and sanitation and to understand issues like public health and occupational health. This day is also concerned with environment related diseases and to discuss preventive measures for checking their spread.
April 18 has been designated as the World Heritage Day with the objective of developing a sense of pride in our historic monuments that are symbols of a rich cultural heritage and therefore need to be protected. This can be brought about by organizing a visit to a local fort or museum. The cultural monuments are considered a part of the environment. Students can be motivated to use this opportunity to create awareness among local people to save their heritage sites. April 22nd was celebrated as Earth Day for the first time in 1970 by a group of people in the USA to draw the attention of the world towards the environmental problems caused by human beings on Earth. This day is celebrated all over the world by organizing rallies, festivals, cleanups, special shows, and academic programs. June 5th is celebrated as World Environment Day. It marks the anniversary of the Stockholm Conference on Human Environment in Sweden in 1972.
In this conference, nations of the world gathered to share their concern in terms of human progress at the expense of the environment. This day can be celebrated by projecting the various environmental activities that a college undertakes during the year. New projects can also be proposed to initiate a movement at the college level.
June 11 is known as World Population Day which aims to establish a link between population and environment. Educational institutions and NGOs can organize seminars and discussions to celebrate this day. August 6 has been accepted as Hiroshima Day, which can be used to discuss the consequences of the Bhopal gas tragedy and the Chernobyl disaster. September 16 has been proclaimed as World Ozone Day by the United Nations for the preservation of the ozone layer. Students can organize seminars to find out more about the threats to this layer and to suggest steps for mitigating this global threat. This day marks the Montreal Protocol, signed in 1987 with the objective of controlling the production and consumption of ozone-depleting substances. September 28 has been accepted as the Green Consumer Day with a view to create awareness among consumers about various products. On this occasion, students can organize campaigns to conduct discussions with shopkeepers and consumers to curtail excess packaging and to avoid the use of articles that are heavily packaged. October 1 to 7 has been considered as Wildlife Week with an intention to conserve species and threatened ecosystems. The forest departments usually organize various activities like poster display or stage street plays to highlight India's rich biodiversity and wildlife. Legal rights, media awareness, and environmental education as tools of public awareness. Environmental legal rights and responsibilities and associated consequences.
Environmental legislation is evolved to protect our environment as a whole and earth resources. Through environmental education and public awareness initiatives, the environmental laws and social responsibilities can be linked, and this link can be illustrated in the context of enforcement.
Public awareness and participation is important in all aspects of enforcement, not only in understanding basic environment and human rights, but also in fostering a sense of responsibility and proactive environmental citizenship.
The citizens are required to act as watchdog for the protection of their environment from illegal exploitation as well as from the consequences of unsustainable projects. Vigilant citizens, they know about their rights, but they are also required to perform their duties for the protection of environment.
Use of media for awareness raising campaigns. Different types of media like print, broadcast, and internet can be powerful allies in educating the public on environmental issues. In order to use media effectively, the government is required to work with the media and sometimes to educate the media. This can be done through regularly managed informal briefings.
The government has to work closely with the mass media for building up its environmental reporting capacity through regular press conferences and broad public awareness campaigns. The appropriate information can be provided to the journalists through capacity building efforts. Information centers can disseminate the relevant and updated information, and they can also have a public library with a range of information resources. This sort of information centers can be run by a government agency or a ministry or even by an NGO.
Incorporation of environmental issues in mainstream education. Environmental education is a process of recognizing values and clarifying concepts in order to develop skills and attitudes which are helpful to understand and appreciate the interrelationship among human society, its culture, and its biophysical surroundings. It also aims to create a sense that acknowledges the relationship of interdependence between man-made environment and natural environment. In fact, environmental education intends to sensitize people about the environmental issues. Although we have a number of courses on environmental sciences in the formal education system, for people who desire to learn about environmental issues, no structured courses are available. Realizing this problem, the Ministry of Environment and Forest is working for an environmental appreciation course known as Environmental Concepts in Management and Business. The participation of common public in the activities of protection, conservation and management of environment is essential for enriching sustainable development.
Environmental education and public awareness programs play a very significant role in encouraging and enhancing the public participation in environmental protection. Realizing this fact, Ministry is promoting non-formal and public awareness programs for all sections of the society through a variety of activities by using traditional and modern media. Some of these activities are
National Environment Awareness Campaign (NEAC) and Global Learning and Observations to Benefit the Environment (GLOBE). Traditional, religious and local community leaders can play an influential role in terms of people actions, particularly in rural areas. The education of these leaders can assist the implementation of environmental policies. In educating these leaders, more attention is to be paid to the language of learning materials. The materials in local language may be more accessible. Although translation is costly, selective translation might make the materials functionally more accessible. Posters, radio presentations, and other approaches may be advisable if the local population leaders have limited literacy.
the materials and messages should be written in short sentences, simple words and active verbs so that they can be understood easily. This will be more desirable if materials are being written in persons, second and third language.
Many sectors of society can be involved in developing and delivering educational courses and public awareness campaigns. These include governmental institutions at the national, regional and local levels, domestic and international NGOs, primary, secondary and post-secondary schools, journalists and media, celebrities, other individuals and institutions.
Moreover, educational and awareness efforts can target any sector of the society. They may seek to raise the public awareness broadly on environmental issues, or they may be a targeted campaign focused on a specific sector on a specific issue.
Biodiversity conservation as a tool of public awareness. Because of intensive forms of agriculture and industrial growth in the name of so-called development, a large portion of residual wilderness of our country is under great threat. If this trend continues, the deterioration of not only the natural habitat will take place, but the survival of a number of species, including human beings, will be in danger. Once a species has gone, it has gone forever. On this earth, we have a life network of 1.8 million species of animals and plants that live in a large number of ecosystems. We can adopt some practices to protect the biodiversity of the earth. Plantation of local and indigenous trees around our home and workplace. Friends and colleagues can be encouraged to participate in this work. In small gardens, small trees and shrubs should be planted. In a terrace or a balcony, a garden of potted plants can be developed. Prevention of felling of trees is of great importance, especially of older trees. The slopes of hills should be made free from encroachment and settlements. Excessive packaging of products should be avoided. The wastage of paper should be avoided. Using both sides of every sheet is an environment-friendly act. Recycling of waste products should be encouraged. Reuse of cartons and gift wrapping papers should be done without any hesitation. Donation of used old books and magazines to schools, hospitals and libraries is not only helpful to these organizations, but it also reduces the exploitation of natural resources. Participation in events which have concerns with the environment is helpful to get the required knowledge, skills and motivation. Presenting flower bouquets should be avoided. Instead, gifts of potted plants should be encouraged. The judicious use of natural resources and products which have been derived from plants and animals should be discouraged. Habitat preservation as a tool of public awareness.
Because of rapid destruction of forests, increasing habitation of human beings, and several other developmental activities, the natural habitats of animals and birds have reduced significantly. As a result, there is an increasing pressure to prevent extinction of several rare and endemic species. Thus, we are required to preserve the remaining habitats and the inhabitants. We can do several activities in this regard.
Whenever we visit the forests, we should bring back everything we took there and clean up the litter left by others. We should study the ecosystem. It develops sensitivity to conserve it. We should be kind to animals. We should not disturb them. They also need peace. We should not be cruel to creatures such as birds, frogs, snakes, insects, etc. We should learn about the birds of our area to understand their food requirements and feeding habits. Construction of artificial nesting boxes, arrangement of drinking water and bird bath is helpful for keeping the birds healthy. Small mammals, squirrels, etc. can be attracted to our garden by providing them food, drinking water and appropriate shelter. For pets, proper food, shelter and emergency medical care is necessary. While visiting a zoo, one should not tease or hurt the animals. One should not disturb the natural habitats of birds or animals. Wildlife products should be avoided. One should not catch or kill butterflies and other insects. They are important pollinators. We should not bring wild animals or plants to our homes as they are important components of the ecosystem. We should not buy products that are made from animal skin or ivory. Soil conservation as a tool of public awareness. Soil is one of the natural resources that extend a strong support for the survival of life. Its degradation and deterioration affects the existence of animals and plants directly or indirectly. At present, because of natural and man-made reasons, the degradation of soil is taking place at a fast rate. We can check this degradation to a significant extent by adopting some measures which are as follows. Soil erosion can be reduced by covering the soil of farms and gardens with a layer of mulch. Soil erosion of steep slopes can be prevented by terracing the slope area. By carrying out plantations, soil erosion can be prevented. Organic matters enrich the garden. Healthy soil grows healthy plants. For cultivation of vegetables, we should adopt the crop rotation system to prevent the depletion of nutrients from the soil. In the school and college campus, a compost pit should be made to enrich the soil with the organic waste from the kitchen. The local zoo workers should be advised to use animal dung for the preparation of biofertilizer. We should buy organically grown products to reduce quantity of toxic pesticides and soil pollution. Need for public awareness regarding water conservation. Although we have good rainfall in our country, because of poor water management and carelessness, we face water shortage nearly everywhere. The conservation of this precious gift of nature is very important to maintain the existence of life on the surface of earth. We can follow these measures. Use water judiciously. Water house plants with the water which has been used for rinsing vessels. Water the plants early in the morning to minimize evaporation. Soak the utensils to reduce the use of water as well as detergents. Take care to prevent water leakage in toilets and bathrooms. Use drip irrigation system to save water. Don't waste drinking water. Promote rainwater harvesting from rooftops and use it to recharge the wells to reduce the burden on rivers and lakes. Check dumping wastes into drains to prevent pollution of water bodies. As far as possible, avoid the use of chemicals in our homes. Instead, use friendly alternatives such as neem and biofertilizers. Turn on the taps at reduced flow rather than at full force. Use a bucket of water for bathing instead of taking showers to save water. Do not overwater plants. Do not pollute water sources by throwing waste into them. Public awareness for energy conservation. We have rich non-renewable energy resources like coal, petroleum and oil, but these resources will last only for the next 30 to 50 years if we use them at the present rate. A huge amount of our budget is used to extract, process and distribute coal, petroleum and electricity. We are trying our best to generate energy from wind and photovoltaic cells, even though there are limitations to these conventional and non-conventional resources of energy. In a way, to save energy is to generate energy. We can conserve energy by following certain steps, which are turning off electrical appliances when they are not being used, using low voltage lights, energy saver bulbs, solar power and pressure cooker for heating and cooking, turning off the gas stove immediately after use, adopting practices like soaking rice pulses before cooking, selecting light shades of wall paints as they reflect more light, positioning the reading table near a window to read in natural light, using bicycles as they release no pollutants and provide healthy exercise, using public transport, etc. For traveling short distances, walking rather than using vehicles helps save energy as well as promotes health. Servicing our vehicles regularly to reduce fuel consumption and pollution. Avoiding use of decorative lights and halogen lamps, use of geysers in summer, and putting hot food in the refrigerator prevents wasteful consumption of energy.
It can be easily seen that most of us complain all the time about the deterioration of our environmental situation. We want to enjoy a neat, clean and healthy environment, but without contributing anything for the same. We should remember that if we do something to protect the environmental constituents, not only will it upgrade the quality of the environment, but it will also motivate others to do so.